Hi, welcome to another episode of the Paige Doodle Club. I'm Mike Paige, and today I'm going to show you how to draw a bouquet of flowers in a vase. So grab some paper, a pen or pencil, markers, whatever you want to work with, and let's get right to it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. So to start a vase of flowers, I'm going to, first I'll mention it's worth keeping this quick and scribbly. You can always go back in. If you're using pencil, if you do it lightly and scribble, and then you can go in and add some more detail. But even if I'm using pen, I prefer to do flowers pretty scribbly because it's usually a little more convincing to the brain than if you try to make every detail. So I'm going to start with a rose here, and I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit. But when I do a rose, I usually kind of just make scribbles in a circular fashion. So we're going to get tighter as we come into the middle here. And then I'm going to work my way back out. So we already have one rose figured out. We can make another rose up here. This one will be sticking up a slightly different angle. So that's sort of a U shape or a C shape with a bit of a fold over at the top here. This will be the rose, the opening of the rose will be sort of over here. Roses are a little tricky because the petals really intertwine and overlap each other, which is part of why it's usually easier to just do quick little scribbles for them. So as we get into this part, this will be really scribbly at the center. I might make some lilies in this bouquet as well. So for that, we're going to make sort of a leaf type of shape like that. And then we'll just keep them going around. I think these have, what, six petals probably? If you're making specific flowers, whoops, so this, you want to kick the pen out, but I didn't pay enough attention to the direction of this, so it really should have gone more like that. When you're making a specific type of flower, you definitely want to pay attention to how many petals it should have. If you're making a sunflower or a daisy or something like that, don't worry about making the petals exact. But if you're making something that has a right or wrong number of petals, you definitely want to be mindful of that. And then lilies have little bits poking out like that. Next, we're going to do some filler flowers. So I'm just going to do some little scribbles. This could be baby's breath. It could be, I think hyacinth looks kind of like this. So these are just quick dotty scribbles. And your brain will read it as another flower filled in there. If I tried to draw every last detail of the petals, I would probably lose my mind. But if you fill it in quickly like this, you can let someone else's brain do the work for you. Once you have practiced it enough, you kind of get the technique of what works for scribbles to make the right type of shape that you're looking for. I usually refer to this as controlled scribbling. It's not quite the way a little kid would scribble, but it's still scribbling. Over here we'll make maybe like a Gerber Daisy or something, one of those flowers with a ton of, I think mums are very similar, tons of petals poking out. And I'm going to do this in layers, so that one's short petals, and we're going to come around and do slightly longer petals. And typically the petals will be staggered in between the previous ones, so this next one, this U shape is coming out from two adjacent U shapes on the previous one. And ideally, I will end up with something that's got kind of a uniform shape to it, whether it be circle or oval, depending on what angle you're drawing it at. And I made this one a little longer than I want. I think this last layer here should be close to the other ones. We can put some leaves in our bouquet as well. We'll make a lily that hasn't burst open yet over here. And this will be another lily here that is open but not facing towards us. So if you're making a bouquet, you want to be mindful of the fact that it's three-dimensional and not everything faces right towards you. So there's another lily. To fill in this space right here, I'm going to put a couple more of these little scribble flowers. And we can make some additional types of flowers sticking out here, different plants and vegetation. Again, the more scribbly you are with this, the more happy you might be with it. If you're trying to make every last detail of something like a bouquet of flowers, you can lose hours of your life trying to get it just right. So for this, we're just kind of working quick and trying to make something that resembles a bouquet of flowers. If you really want a challenge, you could do a bouquet of flowers as a continuous contour drawing where you don't pick up your pen at all. But I don't think you will enjoy that very much. But if you're the type of person that really loves a good challenge, go for it. Let me know how it comes out. I'm gonna put another rose up here. This is another one facing away from us. And you'll notice I'm kind of leaving space in between flowers, and I'm going to fill in these spaces with more plants. This is going to be another one of these daisies. This one I'm going to make it a slightly different angle. And we can kind of fill in areas too. You don't have to fill in every last spot with flowers, but this is definitely something that if you've been practicing drawing a long time, you'll start to find easier methods of making certain types of plants or approaches that work for you. There's not really a right or wrong way to draw anything. I have a friend in college that was an incredible painter, not a great drawer, but his blind continuous contours were second to none. So he was not looking at his paper while he drew and not lifting up his pencil as he drew. And he could sort of trace with his eye what he was looking at better than anybody I've ever seen. And he could paint very well, but if you asked him to draw something in this type of style, he wouldn't be able to do it. But again, there's no right or wrong way of doing things because he was still able to create things very well, just not necessarily with pencil or pen. But so try things out, find your way of doing it, and keep at it. They don't all have to be winners. You just got to find your way of doing it. Put a couple more of these little scribbly plants in. And I've been ignoring the left side of my bouquet, so we'll try to balance it out a little bit. Maybe I'll put another rose over here. And we'll do a couple more of these little scribbles, controlled scribbles. Another rose. More controlled scribbles. Fill in this area over here. And kind of do some shading under this lily here. And another of these little spear kind of plants. I'm going to kind of wrap this one up. A florist would probably tell me this is atrocious, that I need to fill this space in more, and I would agree. But in the interest of time, I'm going to wrap this one up now. So we're going to do some quick shading in here. Some more quick scribbles. And then we're going to want a vase holding this bouquet. Suppose you could also make them wrapped up, but I'm going to make a vase here. So underneath all this, I'm going to make mine kind of a rectangular vase, so you can make yours however you'd like. You can decide if your vase is clear, then you'd want a whole bunch of stems sticking down. If yours is solid, then you don't need the stems. It's up to you how you would like to do it. If you are making stems, I would recommend just to have them very overlapped and kind of not quite tangled up, but jumbled up a bit and mixed in there. They're not all going to be perfectly straight down. Some will be coming across both directions. Some will go straight down, and you basically want it to look a little haphazard in there. You don't want them all perfectly arranged. All right, so here is our finished flower vase. It was mostly scribbles, controlled scribbling, and I find that that works for a lot of things. It works for trees, it works for bushes, it works for flowers. Try out scribble techniques, and again, it's just kind of a controlled movement that you're doing, but a lot of times it creates the illusion better than trying to create every last detail. So here is our finished flower vase. I hope you enjoyed following along. And please tune in for another episode of the Mike Paige Doodle Club.
All right, kids, now that you've finished your doodles, color them in and then share them with both Mike Paige and Medfield TV. We're going to take those images and we're going to put them all over our station. Can't wait to see what you guys make.